Right, thank you very much. Look, just a very quick anecdote there as well. I'll never forget the assistant of the CEO, Chris Leonhardt, came and sort of said, the board wants to do a tour out to North Quay. And at that stage, I was out there quite often. I'd been out there in the morning looking at the ferry, and they were looking particularly at the ferry turn sanctuary. I went out there in the morning, and there was not a single ferry turn out there. I was thinking, oh my God, the board's about to come out. What am I going to do? We take the bus out, that I'm sort of panicking as we get there. We drive into the little parking area. Chris Leonhardt gets off the bus. I swear about 50 ferry turns just start doing this beautiful loop around the sanctuary and just lands straight on it. And I'm like, oh my God, thank God for that. Chris goes, oh. All right, so when we're talking about one of the more sustainable industries that actually involved directly in recycling, what would you think it would necessarily be? Well, it's the container industry, strangely enough, because when you think about it, every single piece of freight that comes in a container goes out in another container, and it's the same container. In other words, we reuse those containers. When Adam is talking about empty container parks, they are recycling facilities. So really, trying to promote those, trying to increase the efficiency, and then use sustainable operations such as rail is an incredibly important part of what we should be doing as ports. Also, I think it's important just to sort of show how things are developed. When we're talking about infrastructure and developing infrastructure, let's have a look at, in a sense, the plan. So you can sort of see where the outline was of the old port, and then obviously the new area. Well, that was the plan. That's the photo. It's pretty good. It's pretty much right on the mark. You've got the rail terminal there, you've got QCP there, QCP there, another site there, TMA, all these sort of places, all built according to the plan. And that's because it works. As Adam's shown, that transfer, that trying to reduce logistics paths, keeping trucks off roads. Previously, to get from the rail terminal to that site there, a matter of 10 metres, you had to go out onto this road, loop right around, drive out through here, onto the main road where mum and dad's trying to get the kids to school, and then in through this entrance here to drop it right there. That's totally crazy, totally crazy. It's about a mile. Instead, we now go 10 metres through a gate. We do that for Patrick, we do that for DP World, and we do it for the QCP, which is a site that's already there, but also into the future other major container park. So we're about 80%, well, let's say about 70% of WA's total container freight availability, that is ECP, empty container freight availability, will be accessible directly to the rail terminal. So that has to give rail a bit of advantage. Okay, but let's get into where we were talking about earlier. So what I'm going to try and do is give you a bit of an overview of our project, the truck marshalling, and then as a result, the congestion management system, and then try and give you a few other little tidbits, because you want to learn something new as well. So what we've got here is the truck marshalling. So basically the economy was booming along, and we had significant queues, but no other way of really doing it except manually. So we needed to have, in a sense, a congestion management system. And that's because we were having these interactions of public and heavy vehicles, as Adam was sort of saying. Mum and Dad are trying to get the kids to the Rottnest Ferry in summer. When a truck's on the road? In summer. It's Christmas, New Year. That's the sort of peak period. And we also had then the Rouse Head project. So it was a great opportunity to get some land and to actually dedicate it. Think about any other operation in Australia nowadays that would dedicate 5 hectares to helping out in case you have problems, to help out drivers when they have congestion, to help out to try and relieve issues when they occur. And that's the investment that Fremantle Ports has made. There's no return on that. There's no revenue. It's an investment by the port. But also, obviously, so the port was committed to action, industry required it, and also the port was committed to innovation. We needed something new because it just didn't exist. So that's the truck marshalling area. We'll head out there, we'll drive through it very briefly. Basically, trucks come in through this road, as you would have seen on that map, so basically it's that road there. And then they loop around, they come through here, and then they either go into the herringbone pattern to then park up. I'll go into a bit more detail about the actual congestion management system. But there's 61 heavy vehicle bays because this port is meant to grow. We are talking about double road trains. Who knows what's going to happen out there? Now, heavier vehicles, 36.5 metre vehicles, can be sort of seen as being, in a sense, an eyesore, that sort of thing, a concern for mum and dad when they're trying to drive. But they allow you to get 2 major containers, these 2 TEU, 40-foot containers onto a truck at once. With our current system, we can only do 1. So think about it, you can basically halve the trucks. So we've got to plan for that into the future. So that's what we've done with our truck marshalling area, to allow these 36.5 metre length vehicles to be able to go in there. We also plan the TMA to be as close to the major sites as possible, okay? That's the entrance to the port here. Patrick's is down here. And so it's conveniently located. So again, you're trying to reduce those logistic paths. The variable messaging sign. So again, the herringbone pattern allows direct in, direct out. Nobody has to back out, nobody has to waste fuel. The variable messaging signs working off solar. In other words, we're trying to make these sustainable so they work and they develop a degree of redundancy. Also, the key thing is we want it to be sustainable for the drivers. At that point in time, if a driver was caught in a queue, they spent the rest of the day sitting, inching forward, revving up their engines every so often to inch further and further forward in 40-degree heat. Not being able to go to a restroom, not being able to have lunch. Here, they can go into the TMA and they can take care of whatever they need to do, and they can then wait until they're ready to go out further. And I'll explain how that works as well. So that's where, in a sense, we wanted to develop this congestion management system. So this is the congestion management system. You've seen the map of the port previously. The signs are conveniently located, so you cannot go anywhere within that port without seeing one of those signs. And that was important because truck drivers like making excuses. No, I didn't see that sign. So they have to see the sign. All right, so this is how it works. Basically, what you want to do is you want to tell somebody there's a problem. So the sites log on, and those variable messaging signs throughout the port, which you'll see on this tour very shortly, come up. DP World, go to TMA. In other words, don't bother going to the side. You're going to get caught up. You're going to be stuck. You're just going to be in a queue. Go to the TMA. You can park, you can rest up, you can go to the restroom, you can do whatever you need to do. All right? So we've told them what they need to do. When they arrive, a number plate recognition camera, okay, just like you get on the Multinovas out on the freeway, captures your license plate. That gets then put into a screen. So in other words, your license plate comes up. In this case, it's a bat number. We just entered whatever we wanted to. Okay. You tell them where you want to go. I want to go to DP World. So we know you're there. We know who you are, and we know what time you want to go. That's all we need. So we worked out. We told them not to go to the site. We know that they're there. When the site, and obviously it registers and tells them that they're now confirmed. The site then has the opportunity to do whatever they need to do. Clear the congestion, clear the problems, win some breathing space. And when they're ready, they call up the truck. On a computer, I can do this. I think we have a visitor here from the Netherlands. I remember visiting the Netherlands, and I was on the train, because you actually use they have Wi-Fi on the trains, and there I am playing with my congestion management system in the Netherlands. It's fantastic. And you can call up the truck whenever you need, when you're ready to clear that truck. And in the TMA, they get the message to say, okay, now you can go in. 1 DDB 123, go to the site of concern. So we told them there's a problem. They've told us they're there. The site has now said, come to me, I've cleared the problem, and now you're telling the driver to go through. All automatic. There's no Fremantle Ports person involved in this at all. This is all done by the site. So in other words, the people who've caused the congestion clear the congestion. But it's all done for free. We provide it to them. They, in turn, clear the congestion. All right. So what have we been also doing? That's the project. That was innovation. That won us the Supply Chain and Logistics Association Innovation Award for 2010, and we were highly commended for the National Award. But what have we been doing since? Because there's many things where we also still need to do. We have key indicators for the sites out there. Because the newly created land out there, those new sites, there, etc., give us the opportunity to actually say to people, okay, you want to be here? Then follow the rules. If you do, we give you money back. It's an incentive. It's not a penalty, it's an incentive. We pay them back money if they do the right thing. If you don't get your money back. So that's the incentive for them. They're all on the leases, and we have a system now in order to try and measure them. The Tenant Operating Performance System, conveniently called TOPS. But needless to say, you need to actually be sure that they're actually doing the right thing. So we need to audit the results. And that's why we're now using intelligent transport systems to verify what they're doing. Trust is good, verification is better. So what we have is that we have a couple of different things that we're working on. This is the queuing control system. Basically, truck drives into the zone, camera picks them up, says you're queuing. Now, queuing is not a sustainable thing. You don't want to have trucks on roads. But rather than fining anybody, rather than telling them off, we provide them with a warning. Say, look, you've got a queue out there. Do something about it. Oh, I didn't know there's a queue. No. So they get an email, they get an SMS right onto their phone, and they do something about it. Up until then, they just let them sit there. What do they care? Who's going to check me? It's all subjective. This is not subjective. This is objective. We have videos, it records after a period of time. We can play it back to them in case they don't believe us. The other side is in vehicle detection. What's another complete waste of time for truck drivers where they just sit there burning away time if nobody bothers to check? The turnaround time. Getting in, getting out. So we are working on a system, that's the next part, to then use ANPR again, against innovation, technology, to check a vehicle coming in, because you don't need to have then all sorts of fancy equipment to do it, and check them going out. With that, we can tell the turn time. In other words, the time they're in the site, we can check it against the KPI. Were you telling me exactly what you should be telling me, or weren't you? And so now there's better ways of actually being able to get them to follow those turn times and get those trucks through and work that little bit hard to make them harder to make sure we're not just sitting there revving away doing nothing, helping us to keep this port sustainable. All right, some of the other things, and this is happening right now, is automated messaging. Because the problem is that lots of messages go out to operators, but they'll go out at 5 o'clock. There's things like early opening of time slots. In order to get into the terminals, you have to have a time slot. You have to be there at a certain time. But if it's 6 or 7 o'clock at night, and they're not doing anything, they can hear the crickets chirp, why not let the trucks in earlier? But how are you going to tell anybody if all the fleet controllers out in Kewdale, or wherever you happen to come from, have gone home? The messages went into the ether. Well, now, using the congestion management system, you can see that early slot openings, as an example, get sent straight through. So the project was to try and get the messages that we're putting out anyway, or to get those messages that are going out anyway, and have them automatically read so that they can go onto the system. And that's what we've done. So since a couple of weekends ago, this is now a couple of weekends ago, in the very first weekend, we had 22 automated messages. That's 22 early openings, remembering multiple trucks, that would have just sat there doing nothing if it weren't for this bit of innovation. The next thing is to try and get these messages into cabs. Now, why is this important? So as you know, you've all got GPS devices. You get those little warnings that sort of say, oh, don't go here because there's a road blockage or whatever it happens to be. Well, why can't we do that into trucks and tell them there's a problem and tell them not to bother to turn up? Stirling Bridge is closed. Don't bother turning up. Rather than hearing through the grapevine or two-way, people sort of taking forever to let it know, get the message out there straight away. What does this allow us to do? It allows us to have a virtual TMA. Because if you're getting the messages straight into the cab of the driver, whatever time, 24 hours a day, you can tell him, don't even bother to leave Kewdale. It's blocked up. There's been a gas leak, whatever it happens to be. And you can keep them out there. So you can start doing smart things about even preventing the trucks from even getting down here in the first place. Right. The future. Anyone heard about platooning? Platooning is where the trucks follow one another very closely. The idea being that because they're that close, one, you're saving fuel, 30% reduction in fuel efficiency, proven. The other one being that if you link it up with some good technology, you can actually have one driver, but potentially 3 vehicles. So you save on the vehicles, you save on the inconsistencies that happening, you save on the gaps that happen between vehicles. It gets to be a whole lot more efficient and a whole lot more sustainable and affordable. And that's in a sense, and where is the perfect place to do this? A port, where you've got nice short logistics patterns to go between sites. The other one, I talked about ANPR, license plate recognition. Well, if you have smart plates, if you have a reader in the plate, why can't you then sort of pick up the truck as it's going along anyway? So this is what we're looking to try and do with our main roads here. There's a team working on that out there. Now, what that allows you to do is peak period pricing. Again, if we're talking about sustainability, we're using infrastructure better, then let's get trucks operating at night. And let's maybe charge them if they run during the day, but give them a bonus, a subsidy or a payback if they run at night. And then you start changing the dynamics, and then you start making those roads more usable. Finally, autonomous heavy vehicles. Again, we're a closed environment. Where is the perfect place to start looking at this sort of technology? Well, it's a port. One interesting fact that I went to an Intelligent Transport Systems event just a couple of weeks ago, and we had Patrick Walker from RAC, and he said they had done a survey, RACWA. They'd done a survey. 87% of West Australians believe that we will have autonomous vehicles by about 2030, operating. How long does it take to build a port? We need about 3 years for a study and about 10 years to report. 2030. Think about it. That's coming. That's not science fiction. That's going to happen. And with that, there's plenty of drinks and things to happen later on, so I'll let you get to that as quick as possible. And I've got probably DP World panicking right now as to where we are, so I'll let you go. And obviously, if there are any questions, let us know.